North Queensland Bulk Port have both onshore and offshore water quality monitoring programs. The onshore ones focus on the flows from rainwater, from our port activities, from our roads. Offshore, we've traditionally monitored around some of our development projects, and historically this has been done sporadically as the port grows. More recently, we're stepping into an area of ongoing, consistent, long-term ambient monitoring programs.
The Ambient Water Quality Program is a 12-month program initially. So as part of the first survey, we went out and deployed a whole range of underwater high-frequency data loggers. So they're measuring things like turbidity, light in the water column, water temperature, wave, energy movement. And so the high-frequency data allows us to build very quickly a very great database with which we can move forward.
Ambient monitoring programs don't just look at what happens around an activity. They look at what happens all year round. They look at what happens naturally.
So let's say dredging, for example. What's different with this project is that we're actually monitoring water quality conditions there under baseline conditions. So what's the natural range of conditions there without a dredging campaign?
So there's a range of natural processes that also impact on water quality, and many of these we capture in our monitoring programs. Now, these include wind, tide, rainfall.
It is interesting to look at the sediment that is stirred up by natural things. So when the southeasterly trades blow very strongly, which is every couple of weeks for a couple of days, along the coast you see brown water, and that's naturally resuspended sediment which has always been there for thousands of years. But then if you go to the really big events, the cyclonic events, after Cyclone Winifred, about 150 million cubic metres, 150 million tonnes of sediment was resuspended.
It's important that we monitor water quality and waterway health from a community perspective, because this is places where people are dependent on coastal water quality and habitat areas.
Water is important for life. It's important for all ecosystems. So water quality is that indicator of how healthy the environment is.
Surprisingly, the water quality on the whole Queensland coast is very, very good. And one of the reasons is that we've got a very small population, and the Queensland coast and the Great Barrier Reef is enormous, you know, a couple of thousand kilometres long. So the actual people pressure on it is relatively small compared with most other parts of the world.
The challenge for us now moving forward is to actually protect that. So the Ambient Water Quality Monitoring Program extends quite a large area, starting down around Serena, and extends up the coastline past Hay Point towards Mackay, and a bit further up past Mackay. So it's about 65 kilometres along the coastline. Moving away from the shoreline, it's about 30 kilometres. So if you can think about that as an area, it's quite a large area that we're monitoring.
There's a lot of science and a lot of research goes into the design of the monitoring program. The sites that we pick, for instance, these aren't just randomly allocated sites. The sites relate to not only the activities that we undertake at the port, but all of the other source and diffuse inputs that might come into the marine environment.
The equipment we're using as part of this monitoring program is quite extensive. It includes technology that has had to be developed, a combination of very high technical scientific equipment right through to the more traditional water quality measures. So one of those tools is actually using satellite imagery to actually look at water conditions, the state of water, at a time scale of daily. Now the challenge is then actually marrying that up with the high frequency loggers. So we've got the satellite imagery and also our field-based measurements, and they're coming together. And that's what's quite unique and quite interesting with this project.
We've been working with North Queensland Bulk Ports for probably more than 10 years, I would say. And it's allowed us to actually build up data from a wide variety of locations along the coast, both with North Queensland Bulk Ports, but also other dredging operations along the coast over the years.
Well, the environmental program's not just there to ensure the safe and ongoing operations of the port, and not just there to benefit North Queensland Bulk Ports. They're there to ensure that we've got a sustainable future that benefits both the community, the region and the greater Queensland.
This Ambient program, in my opinion, is on the front foot in terms of understanding baseline conditions that are happening within the study area.
North Queensland Bulk Ports does take it seriously, the environmental responsibilities. They have very strict environmental guidelines which they adhere to.
There's always more we can do in terms of monitoring, but it's important that we're starting off with this baseline program, and there's a good commitment by the Port Authority to take those steps forward to be proactive in this space.